Hello, welcome to the Q&A for the program This and That, another program part of the 2025 San Francisco Independent Short Film Festival, and we have some of the wonderful filmmakers here with their films. Hey, filmmakers, thanks for joining us today. Uh,
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
Jason Wolos, the programmer, one of the programmers for the Short Film Festival. Hey, why don't you guys introduce yourself, the film you're a part of, and what you did on it, what your role is. Francesca, you're first on my screen. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Francesca Roth. I'm the writer, director, editor, costume designer for Tooth and Nail.
Wow, amazing. Can't wait to talk about that one. Eliza, would you go next, please?
Hey, Eliza Gibson, writer, director of Symptoms.
Fantastic. Good film. Andy, next, please.
Hi, I'm Andy Hoffman. I wrote, directed, and edited Us and Them.
Us and them. Fantastic. Thank you. And Dave, last but not least.
I made Charity, writer, director, editor, producer.
Good to have you here. So, Dave, since the camera's on you, I left off with you. What inspired your story, Charity?
Uh, well, it's a proof of concept for a larger feature project I'm trying to get off the ground, but the inspiration for both that and the short was a real life incident that happened to my wife and I when a young woman in distress came banging on our door in the middle of the night and begging for help. And I was pretty fascinated by the conflicting impulses of like altruism to help her and sort of self-protection that we found ourselves in, trying to debate whether she was up to no good or she really needed help. And it was sort of a fascinating, heightened moment to be in because the stakes felt high and
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
was under
It
duress.
transferred to film well, too.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So anyway, that was that was the sort of genesis of that
I'm
one.
just curious, did your real life incident end up being a malicious or, an ill-doing person?
Yeah,
Wow.
I was just about to let her in, and my wife stopped me, and she pointed out that there was someone who seemed to be like lurking in the background, who was connected with her. I mean, it was all sort of vague, but it became apparent. We ended up saying like, we can't let you in. We'll call the police, um, but we can't
Wow.
actually let you in. And she lost interest and sort of
Wow.
went
And
off.
you actually inspired this next question. I'm going to ask each of you the same question about how did the story come to be, but it seems like real life played a huge part in all these stories, if I'm remembering correctly. Symptoms, go next. Eliza, uh, lots of inspiration from real life. What? Uh,
Yeah, definitely. It was certainly inspired by my personal experience making it to menopause and going through perimenopause. And it's also actually inspired by, I created it really as a companion piece for a television pilot I've written and a series idea I have. So I would say between both, I wanted to write something that invited people to laugh along the wild ride to making it to menopause, and also that really showcased friendships and relationships between women of all ages, and how behind the scenes, I think unbeknownst to men, sometimes we are helping each other out all the time to get through the day.
yeah, I love the line from your movie, "Enjoy estrogen while you got it." My partner is going through a similar thing right now, so I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Other filmmakers, speak about your inspiration and maybe connection to real world life experiences. Andy, please, next.
I came up with the idea maybe like 5 years ago or something. I remember reading an article about Neuralink, which was the idea that we're gonna have a chip implanted in our brain to keep up with artificial intelligence. And I'd always kind of been interested in the idea that we've kind of disappeared into phones and screens and this whole world that we're not really present in. And I kind of started thinking from a comedic perspective, like what if our hand had actually evolved into a phone, and there's some comedic physical stuff with that. And then and part of me was like, we're already basically like this half the time. It's
Right.
part of, it's part of our body
That's when
already.
you hooked me too in the movie. That's the reveal. Like, I mean, it's like, ah.
Yeah, so I mean, for a lot of us, it's already kind of like that. I didn't want to make a movie really about like current phone addiction. It's more about like, for me, it's like, what are we evolving into? What are we going to be in 10 years? Are we really thinking about what we're becoming. So yeah, I wasn't trying to really necessarily cast judgment on technology. It was more just like, this is kind of my observation of like what we're like now and what we possibly might be turning into if we don't really pay attention, I guess. And I thought it could be funny. So
And perfect, thank you. Segue to go to Francesca. What are we evolving into?
Yes,
You're-
I, on the other hand, was casting judgment on technology. But there was a point when I was just becoming aware more and more of generative AI, like images and stuff, and this wonderful Reddit called AI Fails, in which these images are being generated with such insane, ridiculous, incorrect details that I just loved and was consuming, and thought that it was hilarious. But then it turned pretty like serious for me, where I just got really angry because also we're in this world in which AI is starting to replace human labor. And also we just live in this like overly hyper mediated world. And so I just thought it would be interesting if you were to kind of like Andy, it's like extend this outward because we're already kind of there. But if we were to generate, if we were at the place where we're able to generate a three-dimensional like AI generated room and you were able to prompt it, basically, what would come from that and how could it go wrong?
So, and for audiences, maybe and myself included, that's kind of what's going on in your story, or is there more explanation? Because I was a little bit like, what is going on? And that was the part of the joy of it. It's like, this is fascinating. What's going on in
I
that
know
room?
part of me wants to be like, what do you think was going on?
Yeah,
But
I have time for that. Like I said, I wish we could have individual Q&As.
exactly.
Just tell me.
No worries. No worries. It's basically if you've got these two women having to do like such a reflection of being a woman in this society and all of the pressures, societal pressures putting on us, and like this world in which we're constantly performing our identity. And if there was like this prompt, basically, these two women meeting for tea in a fancy British tea room, basically, how would AI implode that idea? And so there's a lot going on there. And basically, it's like we sorry, like we're living in the society that's like trapped in an endless and inescapable cycle of repeating iconography and
Yeah,
symbols and logic of the
yeah,
British Empire.
yeah.
And so basically we, on the face of it, it might be like this fancy British tea room, but underneath all of that, what is British society and where does it come from? And it comes from basically stealing other people's cultures. And it's a form of like a tool of colonialism, and actually AI's just spitting out the same stuff. So
That is helpful. That actually, thank you
so
for
that's
that.
what's going on.
Which now it kind of makes me a little bit more complete, if you will. Thank you for that. And I must say, to talk about other elements of your films, the acting in all of them is excellent, very good, very committed. Like I think of this question now because the robot hostess or the AI hostess, I mean, she was brilliant.
That's a
All your actors,
Aparna
all your actors in every
Nancherla,
movie
yeah.
is brilliant. Yeah, but talk about all of you talk about maybe your casting and directing process. And Francesca, since I'm on you, talk about that.
Okay, yeah, really quick. I mean, Aparna Nancherla, I don't know if y'all recognize her. She's an amazing comedian, and she just like understood the assignment completely. And she and I talked in depth about like what was going on, and her coming from like Indian descent. She was trying to think of like, if I were supposed to be this fancy, I was supposed to be this server inside of this tea room, what would that look like? How would that act? And so she was even like, oh, I can put on this like posh, kind of accent, which normally like I haven't really seen her do that kind of like accent and other things. But she was really like engaged with the topic and really was just was like, I'll play it robotic, but I will play it. Basically, she like really took on that understanding of like what what would it look like? What would it look like as me as a server and me as as basically perpetuating all of these like stereotypes also and everything.
All your
and
actors fully committed to the role, even the cello player, if I
yeah.
remember. I mean, yeah, just so crazy and
She
wonderful.
and the cellist, she's amazing, Janelle. I had a piece written actually that didn't come out all the way, but Ellery Saxel, she composed a piece on the cello that Janelle learned, but I wasn't actually going to have her play, and we ended up inverting it and all this stuff. But everyone really, really came super prepared, and everyone is really, really excited specifically about the absurdity of the project. I think that right now work is really slow, and we had a casting director, and we had like an insane amount of submissions, like over 500 submissions, something like that, for like every single part, which I was
Wow.
blown away, but I also think was indicative of two things. One, creative was awesome, but two, no one's working, so everyone's like,
Uh,
give me some creative stuff to
right.
do, and it just really worked out for me. So, but
Uh,
I want to give the floor elsewhere.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Acting's across the board, and I'm finding it in all short submissions in general, the level has just gone way up. Who else would like to talk about their cast or directing their crew or their actors? Dave, do you want to talk about your two
Well,
leads? They're fantastic.
I think with shorts where budget is going to be a concern, and the casting is, I mean, casting is always critically important, but the performances, the faces and the performances you have, that's really the end of the day. That's everything. You're not going to be able to get the production value that you ever want up on the screen, at a budget and the lighting and everything like that. But if you cast well, then, that's, as they say, 90% of it.
And what about for you? Sorry to interrupt, but the chemistry too. They were just so believable together. Your two.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say I had the opportunity. I had fantasies about, once they were cast, sending them off to lunch together and kind of, having them spend some time together. But of course, it wasn't possible to do that. So, you know, just pros, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Casted well. I'll ask Andy and Eliza too. Andy, talk about your actors. I mean, did any of you guys also have lots of rehearsal? I imagine there's not much rehearsal time even, with shorts. Andy, talk about this.
Yeah, not for us. I had worked with Max and Monica in the past on other projects, more commercial projects, and I shared the script with them, and they both just really liked the idea. They were excited about it. I knew we could all work together well. I knew Max could do all the physical stuff, and he just kind of embodied kind of the character in the way that I pictured him. Someone who used to be really active and lived in the world and lived in this beautiful place, but kind of retreated into this like screen world. That's kind of like the darkness, the vacuum. It's kind of like this isolation that you're living through your phone instead of engaging with the rest of the world. And
Yeah.
he just had a way of kind of eliciting all that. And Monica was awesome. She hadn't done a ton of narrative stuff, but she was really excited about it. And I thought she killed it. She was awesome. She just has a kind of underlying sense of humor and subtleness that I thought worked really well. And yeah, we only had auditions from about, I don't know, 10 or 12 other actors. I just had a casting director throw some auditions our way. But when we saw Max and we saw Monica, we're like, okay, I know them and they're going to be great. And we just pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy with both of them.
Yeah, us too. I mean, all the performance, like I said, and the chemistry. Eliza, on to you next. The chemistry, now I'm thinking too, in all your films, just comes across really well on screen. Eliza, talk about your cast and directing them and whatnot.
Yeah, the casting process was really, absolutely loved it. And also it was a bit overwhelming. So Francesca, similarly, I had over 800 people submit to be Eleanor. And then for like the younger characters, 20s and 30s, had like 1,500 people, I
So
had
let
characters.
me interrupt. So just real quick,
Yeah.
how did you whittle down just like 800? Did you go through all of them, or it's just like some of them just like are obvious not matches, some are better, so you can get through a little bit quicker that way?
Yeah, it was definitely a lengthy process. I mean, I played the unhoused woman, and so otherwise I cast 5 other people. The character in their 70s, there were fewer actors, in the 50s fewer, but it was right. So all ageism is alive and well, as well as it's the desperation for work. But yeah, I honestly I didn't get through every single person, but I took it quite seriously as an actor myself. My background is in writing and performing one-woman shows, and that part of it was super important to me. but yeah, we did Zoom or call the tapes, the Zoom auditions, and then I did in-person chemistry reads with the kind of 2 to 3 finalists for each role. And I did do rehearsal. And I think honestly, it's because of my background in theater. I was like, no, I want to make sure I have a very clear vision and idea about how I wanted certain things to hit. And it was worth paying people for the time, a little extra time. Not every single scene, of course, but some of the key ones.
Right, right. And did you realize kind of what you were trying to explore? Do you think your final kind of film short, Eliza, the camera's on you,
Yeah.
did it come out the way you had hoped?
It really, yes, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the most fun parts was getting to like bring characters to life off the page and get to co-create them with what the actors brought to them. And I love the process of surprise and discovery as you get to start to really, roll up your sleeves and get into the work with the actors.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to ask the same question of everybody. Francesca, did yours come out the way you envisioned? It sure is detailed and succinct. And maybe also add, like Eliza did, a fun anecdote or moment during production or making of.
I'll add one. This is one of my favorites that I like to share is I had this idea that I would really be able to get the scene where the dogs are like sniffing the bloody crotch of Eleanor. And that would just be like, I wanted that to be the poster image for the movie. And people were like, no, dogs would be hard, dogs would be hard. I'm like, no, we're gonna have Pinky shove a bunch of liver treats in her pockets. And she was totally on board. And wow, 3 hours later, I was literally like, I don't know if we even got it. I don't know, but we got to move on.
Well, they say, I mean, you could probably add animals. They say, like, for indie films, like, no children, no special effects, and maybe no animals. I don't know, no explosions. Anyways, Francesca, same question for you. Realize your vision and something fun.
Right. So this is my first film directing. So my background is I've been a costume designer for the last decade, which will explain the intricate costumes. But so I think that did it turn out how I thought? I don't even know the answer to the question anymore. I learned how to edit through this as well. So it was my first time writing, directing, editing, and there was so much that we got, and there was so much that we didn't get. And the thing that I kept was sorry, I kept hearing was you must see the edit, which I thought I understood what that meant until you get into the edit and you're like, oh, I don't know how is the server going to get from A to B? But on set, I was like, it's fine. She'll just like teleport, she'll just like get there. And then so basically because of those, it was a lot of learning and stuff. So I was able to be really creative in the editing process and find my way there. And ultimately, I'm really happy with how it was. And I think the anecdote for me is that so this room we actually filmed in my father's house. I had turned his house into this tea room, and it's very red and pink, as you all know. And some people were super into it on set, and others basically, I trapped everyone, not just you as the viewer and not just, these actors, but absolutely everyone was trapped in this tea room for 4 days. And like you walk in and it does something crazy to your senses. But basically, on the last day when everyone was leaving, I was saying bye to all the crew, and some of them I was like, thanks for coming. Like, thank you so much. Did you have fun? And they were just like, that was wild. Like, I need to get out of here now. Like, my eyeballs are not
Yeah.
working.
They're like, I hate AI. Definitely now I hate it.
Exactly.
And I don't need to see hot pink ever again.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
done. Thank
It
you.
was my favorite color going in, and now I'm not so sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My
How about-
9-year-old daughter's the same color, so I know every time I go into a room, it's like, boom.
Yeah. Well, Andy, the camera's on you. Talk about yours as well. Came out the way you expected?
Yeah, I think overall it came out what I wanted, and that I think when most people see it, it kind of gets them thinking about it. It's a fun conversation starter. Whenever we show it to people, we always go off on interesting conversations about our relationship to our phones and technology, where we think it's going, and just like how all the different ways that kind of permeates all of our lives, which is really, really diverse in how it does that. So I think overall, I'm happy with that. It was a huge learning experience for me. I've done lots of short narrative stuff, but nothing of this scale and rehearsal and that sort of thing is something that we just didn't have enough time for, which I'm totally reevaluating for our next project. I felt like for me, it was like more of a writing and editing kind of success than directing personally, because I didn't get a chance to direct it as creatively as I would have liked to just because of a lack of time. So that's when I see it. That's what I think. But as an overall piece that when people watch it, I think it accomplished what I was hoping for, which was to make people laugh a little bit, maybe get them to think a little bit, maybe get them a little bit freaked out about.
Yeah, it sure does.
So,
That's one of the
yeah.
reasons why we selected it. And maybe I'll ask what's a fun or anecdotal moment, but I'm going to actually focus it on the hand makeup thing. That had to be challenging because I'm going to talk to you more about the challenge of kind of your situation. Because there's a little bit like we had to kind of make believe. You had to go there.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And we do.
Yeah, I was hoping that it's funny, some people have said it looks so goofy that it totally works when I see it. And when we were filming, we're like, oh my God, this thing is ridiculous looking. But we were hoping that the story would kind of, suspend your belief.
Yeah, if it fits into the story, you're willing to go along with it because of your subject and the context.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where like, we don't know how to really like it seemed like a good idea until we tried to make it.
Yeah, kind of like the dogs where this is taking way longer than I thought. This makeup's taking way longer than I thought.
Dogs were way too well trained. The makeup would take too long. I totally.
And then Dave, how about you? Did it come out the way you expected? And anything fun to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really familiar with the feeling of being satisfied with any of my work, so it's not. I'm used to just it. I learned a ton. That's what these things are great for. I wish I were more prolific. I tend to make fewer pieces that I work really hard on for a long time, and as a director, you don't get to practice that much. Like, honey, I'm going to go in the closet and direct for a while before dinner. You just, it's not. So, I mean, I always learn so much when I do these things. I wish I were the kind of person who just made more, more shittier films more often and just kept, iterating. But it's like years in between, and
I get it. I get
and,
it. But that's why shorts are wonderful, right?
Yeah.
And you said this is kind of proof of concept piece, right? That's why you made a short.
Yeah, I have. I mean, why
did you make a feature?
Well, the script for the feature was under option by a company, and they had it for a year, and they had. I'll try and be brief. They asked me to step away as director because they didn't want the burden of trying to get it made. They loved the script, but they didn't want the burden of trying to get it made with, a first-time director attached. And moreover, the climate back then was very identity oriented. They thought, a cis male director for this piece about, lesbians was not the right fit for the climate at the time. So they said, let us find, a female person of color, LGBT director who is also a name who can like bring financing. So there's all of 2.5 people that fit that description in the world, and it was just a heavy lift. So they had it for a year, and then they wanted to re-option it. And
so then you just decided to make it short.
Well, I said, instead of paying me for the option, fund a short proof of concept. It's win-win for everyone. I'll get to make this thing. I can show you that I can direct this thing, and it makes me feel like I'm moving forward and not just treading water. So that was the inception of that.
Yeah. Okay, Andy, why short? Why didn't? I mean, yours is a long short. I mean, I think yours is the longest short here. Why didn't you just go for another 60 minutes?
Oh man,
I'm asking you why you're making shorts, because we love shorts here.
Yeah, no, I think my first version of the script was 7 pages, so I wanted to do something self-contained and short for kind of the same reasons everyone does, I guess. But it just kind of grew, and that's kind of where the story went. And as I wrote it, it was very specifically written that I couldn't really cut anything and make the rest of it flow and make sense how I wanted it to. So
Right.
it just kind of just ended up being the story that came from it, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
It would have taken a different approach, I think, to make it significantly shorter. So yeah, that's just what it kind of ended up at. And
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Francesca and Eliza talk about this. Don't short films kind of like they tell you, or films they kind of take over and tell you what they want to be, what they're going to become, right? A little bit. It feels that way.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're kind of forced in a corner to make it a little circular just for the sake of, how short it is, even if there's still questions. But for me, this was my first get go. I had been wanting to direct since even like 2020, and the pandemic stopped me basically. So I continued being a working costume designer. And then I produced a 6-episode docuseries for PBS called Earth Focus, which is great. But I am such a narrative girl that I was like, it's time for me to scream into the void. And so I just hit the ground running and was like, it made much more sense for me to make a short. Also, I wouldn't, put you guys in that kind of room for longer than I did. Although but there is a world in which that could be a universe, where more could be made. But shorts are amazing. They are so hard to do. They are like so much harder, and you just have to have such a good support system and people who love you, because they are so underpaid and so hardworking. But yeah, Eliza, what about you?
Right on. Well said.
Yeah, well, similar to you, this is actually my first film and my first short. So I, from theater, shifted into screenwriting, and then I learned after about 5 years, like, wow, I'm not very good at waiting. I mean, I kind of already knew that. I am impatient, and I'm a maker and a creator. And I think the big learning shifting from like a television pilot or show idea into a short was how much it needed to be a companion piece versus a proof of concept, because it needed to have it needed to be like a satisfying emotional nugget, similar to like a really good short story, versus, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next, which is what you need to show. I think that was like the biggest shift as a writer and creator, when I did decide to make a short, to focus on making it a satisfying nugget.
Got it. Thank you. You got time for one more? Eliza, I'm going to stick with you because you're breaking up a little bit. Keep it short and sweet. I don't know why we're losing you. But anything you want to add? Anything that I didn't ask you want to share with the audiences before we part? Eliza,
Before
please.
AI takes over and makes it impossible to hear me. I may not, can you hear me or not?
We can hear you.
I'll
You're
just say
You're
thanks.
strobing.
It's because of Francesca. I just need the pink light over. Anyway, just thanks for watching my film and including it, and all of you. So appreciate
Thanks for
the
making it.
opportunity.
Yeah, right on.
Of course.
Dave, how about
Yeah.
you next, please? Anything you want to add?
No, I'm grateful to be part of this. And I was telling these guys before we started how disparate all these films are. Was really exciting to me, that they're all part of the same medium, but yet just so different. And it's wonderful. So keep it up.
Yeah, right on. Andy, how about you? Any last words?
Yeah, same thing as Dave was saying. We were talking, and it was just like, it's always to me very inspiring just to see the ideas that people come up with, the ones they decide to devote their time and resources to, and it's always, I mean, it's so different, and it's so cool. And I was looking at them, and I was really impressed with everything that I saw, and I'm just like, wow, it's an honor to be just included with everybody here. So thank you guys for including us and for watching the movie, and hopefully your hand hasn't turned into a phone quite yet.
Right on. Francesca, finish us off here.
I mean, no, I'm just gonna have to parrot everyone. This is such a cool group of films, and thank you for having Tooth and Nail in here. And festivals are great because we wouldn't have the opportunity probably otherwise to put all of our films in one big family group. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for everything. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. That's all the time we have. We are appreciative of you guys. Thank you. We're grateful for you, for your time today, for using your time and efforts to make your unique little short films. We love them. So keep on making movies, guys. Thanks for being here. All right, everybody, that's all the time we have. Thanks for watching this Q&A. Support more great indie film at sfindie.com. See you at the movies. And where's my stop button?